Here with returning guest Andrew Reese. We are here at the end of March again. March Madness, some stats coming your way, so stay tuned in today's video. All right, guys, we're back. You remember this guy,
Andrew Reese.
Andrew Reese. We're both at Coldwell Banker Global Luxury. So if you're new to the channel, every single month, at the end of the month, I like to wrap up episodes with a market update. They're really important. I like to really deep dive, analyze what's been happening, kind of get you all up to speed, and then sort of make some predictions
and talk about the market, just kind of where we think it's going and what's happened in the last month. So I think
Absolutely.
That's a good wrap up for what we have going on. So
the
yeah,
madness that is real estate.
Yep.
So let's just dive right in. Of course, with my notes as always, only 2 pages this time.
Okay.
Okay, so single family, again, if you're new to the channel, I like to compare single family Sarasota properties, so not condos, townhomes, villas, because the single family stats are generally a better gauge of the market.
Sure.
Do you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, all right, February 2023 versus 22 compared to January last month. Gary Keller said at the March meeting, quote, "This is the most confusing market I've seen in my 40-year career," which I was kind of relieved to hear him say that. Do you kind of feel the same way?
Yeah, because you have properties that are still, you're having properties that are still aggressively being bid on that are, if they're well renovated, but you're also seeing a huge correction on properties that aren't. So, my experience in the last month has really showed me that, look, if your house is not renovated, it may be worth the money to do the renovations, because
I agree.
Properties that aren't renovated, that is what's correcting.
They're sitting.
They're sitting, and they're correcting.
You have one that we've talked about. We don't need to say where, but we actually have a real Vitalize program with Coldwell Banker, and it's a program I've talked about on the channel before, whereby you can have Coldwell Banker pay a part of the renovation to get it marketed and sold, and then it comes off of the total owed.
So you're not paying for those renovations up front. So what happens is Coldwell Bankers, they bring in their vendors, their people to do the work, and then once the work's done, obviously you can hopefully increase the price of the property to make up for that and get the property sold faster. So instead of it just sitting on the market as a stale listing, that because it's not renovated, it allows you to sort of get those renovations completed and then get the property properly marketed. And generally speaking, a lot of times you can make up a lot of the renovation costs. So
so there are some examples that we've had in our office that we can tell you more about in detail if that's something that you might need. But anyway, I like what Gary Keller, I don't like what he said, but I thought it was thankfully I was relieved when he said that. He does add, quote, "If you don't work hard to match the hard, your year is going to suck."
Yeah.
And he also added, that being said, the volume of business predicted to occur, though, this is a though, albeit, will be the 3rd greatest year in recorded history, with 2.1 trillion in total market volume for sales, despite what naysayers said the prices and volume would go down by 50%. I'm not seeing that at all in the Sarasota market.
We're still doing deals. I closed.
Yeah,
we've all closed deals this month, and it's been extremely aggressive. I had a great month. Close. I had 3 properties essentially closed, and so the deals are still getting done. It's just the question is, will that continue? We always see a lull in June, July, and August, I think.
Yeah.
And I think we're approaching that, but I've been busy. I still have plenty of buyers. I still have a couple lists. I have a new listing on Longboat. We're still busy. So I'm not seeing that die off that you see in June and July. Haven't seen that yet, and it hasn't really started. It's slowed down a little bit.
It has slowed. It's been interesting because I feel like this business has always come in waves, whether they're good waves or slow waves. And we've had a couple weeks that were slow, and then I feel like now I'm seeing more that are going pending. I've also seen some price increases in some areas. So
a couple of increases. It's again, I really just think that if properties are renovated, they will sell, and if they're in a great location and they're renovated, if they're not, location really almost doesn't even matter. I have no problem saying I had a penthouse unit right on Sarasota. that just wasn't renovated. It needed so much work that people were coming in and saying, we love the view.
Same feedback.
Same feedback with every single person coming through. We love the view. We love the location, but I'm not putting 150 grand and 2 months or 3 months of work into a unit, even though the view is amazing and the location is amazing. So I think that like those units are correcting. I mean, and we sold it. You
sold it though.
We sold it,
and he found the buyer.
And I found the buyer, but it wasn't an amazing price. And I don't think that
it's better than waiting longer and then getting a lower price.
And I
think that the seller in this particular case did well.
He did well. He did exceptionally well. I mean, he bought 30 years ago, so he was going to be fine either way. But at the end of the day, I think it is worth looking at Revitalize with Coldwell. I think it is, but your property has to be renovated. It has to be.
Yeah.
In this
because
market,
buyers have more choice with more inventory.
They do.
Now that being said, this is to Gary Keller saying this is the most confusing market.
Right.
To that point, we're talking about properties that are sitting like this. But then we had a couple in our office just recently. So we actually just closed one for $85,000 over asking.
Right.
We closed that last week, and then another colleague in our office closed one for, drum roll, how much over? You know the one.
No.
700 over 700,000 over asking price. Now that's on the water.
Right.
So waterfront and island side is a different animal.
Right. Of course. Yeah, because it's so unique and there's only so much of it. I mean, we are truly. I mean, you have a lot right now, but that's very rare. You have a vacant lot on Longboat, but that's very rare that you have waterfront properties that come up, and even those properties are unique in that sense.
Right. And so there's a buyer. There's going to be the buyers for like the second homes and the unique properties that are just kind of one of a kind. And to your point, like there's only so much land, right? And if you want to be on the island, I have one, by the way. But anyway, it's neither here nor there.
I also think that generally we do see a lull in June, July.
Yeah.
But if the Fed tapers rates down, you're going to see the housing market come roaring back immediately.
Do you think that they will?
They are. I think that they're saying maybe one more time they may raise a quarter, 25 points. But I think after that, the second that they turn, and because they're saying by the end of this year or early 24, they're going to start lowering rates. The second they make that turn and start lowering rates, people are going to start rushing right back into the market to buy. So
I'll be ready.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, volume overall is down by 21.7% compared to last month. It was down. I'm sorry, the previous month was down. So January was down 37.7. Last month we were down 21.7. So tapering off, less extreme because it's been so extreme. So that makes sense to me.
But is that number of volume of units? So that's the units.
Total volume.
So that's dollars or
total volume.
Okay.
Down.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I mean, I think the rates are coming into play with that for the majority of it. Now cash sales are down 24.7%. That's a decrease in volume of 21.7%.
I think that's a function of the market. I mean, as the market corrects, most of the people that were making these all cash purchases were taking money out of the stock market to make those. Well, when the market corrects, that cash isn't there to make the purchase.
Yeah,
so.
Where are we pulling it from?
Right, right.
Days to contract. Now they went from 6 days to 21. Remember January. So in January it was 29 days to contract. End of February stats are showing 21.
So it came down.
So it's tighter.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So people are closing the deals faster. They're not closing as many deals, but the deals that are getting closed are getting closed faster.
Yeah, and I think so February's kind of just remained a little bit stable in some regards. So pending sales are exactly the same February compared to January of this year. Isn't it? Exactly the same.
Your volume is down. It's interesting. So your volume of sales are down, but the amount of pending are all staying consistent.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think I've ever seen that from recollection and looking at the stats. So now let's look at inventory because that's always huge, right? So January 2023, of course, inventory. So this year, January, we had 2.8 months of inventory. Where do you think February?
I think it's way up.
Well,
I think your inventory is way up.
It's 2.9 months. So that's
Okay.
that's
It's
not
not way
up by
up.
much.
It's up, but not up by much. And I would think that it would be up higher.
That's what I thought too.
I'm definitely seeing more properties hit the market. I'm also seeing better properties hit the market.
Okay. Oh.
So in Bay Isles, I showed a property this week.
That was a good one.
A contractor bought 2 properties across the street from each other that were spectacular. They've been completely renovated. Probably the best properties I've seen in the last year. One was listed at 2.9, the other at 3.1 million.
Not on the water.
Not on the water, but back in Bay Isles, that's about what things were selling for, and completely renovated. I'm starting to see properties that are in better shape, that are more renovated. And my guess is that the inventory is going to start coming
And she
up.
just improved the pricing on those.
She
So
did.
those will probably pop. Those will probably go pending.
They'll go
pretty
pending
soon,
very
'cause
quickly.
Again, to his point, there's a demand, and they haven't been on the market that long.
They haven't, but I actually had somebody at my open houses last weekend that was looking at my listing, and they said we can go higher, and they sure enough had that property on their list to go see right afterwards. So my
And
guess
you've already
is,
seen it.
yeah. And when I told
Yeah.
them, I said, look, that property is really spectacular. So my guess is that it'll probably go pending.
Everything but the windows, I think.
Correct.
Pretty much on the inside.
Everything had been done. I mean, the roof had been replaced. The pool was redone. I mean, everything had been done on it.
Yeah. So now, again, I always like to keep reminding people that a normal market, now we haven't even seen a normal market in quite some time, is 5 to 6 months inventory. Okay. So at only 2.9 months.
You're almost half of that.
The reason why it's still low is because, remember, and you can chime in on this, but the sellers that have properties that maybe bought in the last 2 years, I mean, they have 2-3% interest rates. They're not going to be inclined to get a lesser property, a higher rate, to move, right now. So those people are not as inclined to sell unless they have some sort of family event or life experience that really shifts where they need to be.
Well, and sellers haven't corrected prices down substantially. So like, what would be their incentive to move?
What's the incentive?
There's not really much of an incentive. If you're at a low interest rate, you're in a great house.
Living in a much more of a house.
Right. So you'd be giving up something by moving. There's no incentive.
Yeah.
I think that when rates come down, though, the market is really going to correct back the other way. So I sort of have to think and believe that the second the Fed turns around on this, I think you're going to start seeing the market really roar back.
Yeah. Active listings in January were 1,787. Again, this is just single family Sarasota homes. In February, very, very similar at 1,793. So almost identical in inventory.
Right.
I would say some takeaways from what we just talked about. Sales year over year are down, but they're up month over month. It's just a really honestly, this is just an unpredictable market to me.
Right. Well,
I'm trying to predict, but it's so hard.
I think that when inventory sits there for a little bit longer, some of these sellers are going to have to taper their pricing down, or it's going to be longer to sale. So I think that it'll be interesting to see if your days on market and if your units that are on market are longer. Things are going to be sitting there for longer. But again, if the rates change and the market comes back,
change quickly as well.
Yeah, it can change very quickly.
Yeah.
I haven't seen so much the adjustment down though. I would think right now that everything would just be sitting because nobody's financing. The stock market has come down. But most of my deals that I've done recently were all cash. So
we closed 2 on Friday, both on the islands, one on Anna Maria, one on Longboat. So they were both written as cash, but they did finance. So that's why we were able to secure the property. But they did now the one on Longboat actually appraised at, I think it was $25,000 over the sales price, which we're really excited about. And then interestingly enough, the other cash sale appraised way low. And we actually think that it was a low appraisal anyway, because I don't know where they brought the appraiser in from. But in any event, both were cash. So they didn't have any, they didn't want to back out, but it was, you still have to do that in some cases to secure a transaction.
Yep.
The one on Anna Maria Island was a multiple offer situation.
Oh,
and you'll see too, and I know you'll agree, the ones that end up going over, like the one that sold in our office for over $700,000 over, that had to have been a multiple offer.
Absolutely.
I mean, because
why would they go that high? That much higher over. I mean, both of the properties that I sold, I had one property that was out on Longboat Key that was all cash. I had another one that was up on the river in Bradenton that we went all cash, and then he ended up financing about half of it.
Right.
But he was prepared to pay all cash if it didn't appraise, which it did.
Yeah.
Or if there was an issue, he was prepared to go all cash anyways. But even that has been rare. Like almost all of my deals have been truly all cash.
True. Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's even in this market, it seems a bit strange, but I'm also not, I'm not turning 4 or 5 deals a month anymore. So
yeah,
I've got to, obviously I'm hoping I get back to that. So we'll see.
Yeah, but we're kind of in a weird lull. It's not just,
Mhm.
I mean, it's not just us, but like, again, I think when we're talking about like generalizations, like there's always the skews of, especially the luxury and the
Sure.
island properties.
Right.
Like,
That changes those numbers.
It's just, yeah,
Right.
it skews you way up and way down.
Right.
So sales for February last month were up 29.7% for both counties, just as a combined number. I thought that was very intriguing. Yeah, right. See, this is what doesn't make sense to me.
So if you have more sales, wouldn't you have less inventory? Like when your inventory drops significantly?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, this is now combining, because above we were talking about Sarasota single family, and
Right.
now we're just combining both counties. So I thought that was just I don't know what that's about. Okay, market trends. I'm gonna quiz Andrew to see how well he knows the market.
Oh boy, here we go. This could be ugly.
Okay, first we're gonna take a look at. Okay, now we're just talking Longboat Key numbers,
Okay.
right? So now Longboat Key,
Okay.
the Barrier Island, right here, 9 miles long, single family homes only.
Okay.
Year to date. Okay, what do you think is the average single family home list price? Not stipulating on the water or off the water price.
Oh, brother. That's tough because
Come on.
Well, okay, so your lowest price point that I've seen is generally 1.3. The highest can be really high.
Average, go.
I'm going to say average is 4 million.
You're good. Well, 3,444,000.
That's up by $500,000.
That's really good, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would guess.
I mean, that'd be tough because you have some really high-end homes that are going to skew that high.
Yeah.
But more of them are probably in that, probably that 3 million range.
Okay, so average home, 3.4 basically.
Wow.
Average sale price.
Average sale
No
price.
pressure.
Well, I'm going to stay in the same range then, in like 3.5.
1.945.
Wow.
Average.
Wow.
Single family only, right?
So the lower price stuff is selling, but you have a couple of really high-end homes that are selling that are pulling that average up.
I would say from what I'm seeing them really high end sell faster than some of the lower, honestly.
I would agree.
That's what's so strange about this whole thing. Like, I have a listing in Silver Sands at $699. Now it hasn't sold. We had it on the market a couple months now.
Sure.
But there's a renter in there constantly, which makes it hard to show, hard to see, harder to sell, which is not uncommon for cash flow type properties.
Well, I was surprised. I was talking to a couple of the agents in our office, and Charles Buki has the $25 million listing up in Anna Maria.
Shout out to Charles.
I was surprised because he has a lot of high price point homes.
He does.
But the $25 million house, which is the highest price house in Sarasota and Manatee County right now, I believe it's the highest price that anything has been listed at. He's showing that more than anything else.
Is that
which is crazy to me?
It's
that
awesome.
Like it's a really high price point, but he's showing it. There's a lot of interest in that property. Even more so, he has a new construction build that's down on Lido that's spectacular at $13.9 million.
Only.
But you would think that as your price comes down, there's more people that can afford it. He's showing the $25 million property more so than he is the one that's at 14. So
I've said for a long time that our market's been undervalued.
I agree with that
because of everything that's here. It's not even just the beaches.
I would agree with that.
Everything else.
I mean, traditionally, I've always sort of told people Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Palm Beach are the most expensive. Yeah. Naples is under that, and we're just under Naples.
We're under Naples. Yeah.
I think we're catching Naples. What we don't seem to have is Naples has a couple of homes in a couple of areas where prices are in that 30 to 50 million range.
Yeah,
we
don't
have
there
that
yet, which is fine. I don't really want to be the most expensive. I want this to be an area that's still affordable.
Sure.
And and it's kind of creeping out to not being as affordable.
I would agree with that.
As it really, like when I moved here, it was like everything is so affordable, and now
right.
I'm like, even out of college, but it's definitely changed. I mean,
Well, your cost
people
of-
know about Sarasota more.
Your cost
You
of
know.
living is a bit lower here, but when it comes to housing,
Housing's
No.
creeped up. Yeah.
it's very, very high.
But
It's
okay,
very
back to, you're not getting out of this quiz.
high. Okay, here we go.
All right, sales versus list price ratio. Longbow Key, single family, where do you think it's at?
When you say sales versus list price ratio,
Like how much % off of asking on average?
that's going to be a bit tighter because some of them are going to go for under.
Okay, here's a clue. The Sarasota mainland properties and Longboat are very, very, very similar.
I'm going to say it's within 3%.
You're good. It's 97.58%.
So yeah, so
within-
3%.
And we'll skip to, so the Sarasota mainland is 97.16, Longboat Key 97.58. So basically the same.
But if something goes for over ask, then that's going to be it's like 101%.
It adds to the average.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, number of homes sold year to date. So ending, we're just counting February because the February stats are out. So number of homes sold on Longboat, whether they're on the water or not, January, February. It's not as much as one might think. Hint.
January 1st, so the 2 months. I'm
Don't
going
ever
to
quiz
say,
me,
and
by the
it's only single family homes we're talking
Yes.
about. I'm going to say 115.
12.
112.
No.
12 homes. That's it.
That's it.
There's only
Remember, it's only a 9-mile stretch. Only 12 homes. Single family.
for 2 months.
Single family.
Wow.
That's it.
I would think it would be
Isn't
more
that
than that.
interesting?
I would think it'd be way more
Let's
than that.
compare. Let's just jump down to compare for the mainland Sarasota. It's 1,056. Now, just the Sarasota proper, not the whole county.
But that still seems low.
It is low. It
I mean,
seems
12
really
homes
low.
on
That's
Longboat
it.
Key. Yeah, because
That's it.
remember, you have you have homes that are in that $1 million to $1.5 million range. You would think there'd be a lot more of those
No.
transacting. There aren't.
No.
Wow.
Days on market average for Longboat.
On Longboat. I'm going to say 20 days.
30.5 days.
It's longer. Wow.
But this is getting more toward normal. The normal market is about 90 days
Right.
to go to contract.
Right.
Okay, average price per square foot. This will be interesting.
For single family homes.
Longboat Key.
I am going to say it's 1,100.
839.
Wow, I'm over.
Now
Okay.
let's compare to the mainland Sarasota properties at 319 a square foot.
Right. Of course.
Okay,
Right.
two more. Number of how many single family homes for sale when the stats came out end of February for single family Longboat Key? How many for sale? Your number hint, the other number was closer.
I'm going to say for single family homes, I'm going to say there is 20.
154 for sale. So there's a lot of competition
There's
now.
a lot out there. So there's a lot of
Remember, because inventory.
there's a lot of inventory out there, but none of them are selling.
Inventory stayed the same,
Right.
and so sales are down. So that kind of makes somewhat sense because we're getting more that are just sitting. I guess.
But think about it: if you had like 100 homes, and only 12%, roughly 13% of the homes sold.
And guess who's selling those here on Longboat? I don't know. Our office.
Our office.
Our office.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Last but not least here, months of supply, Longboat Key, single family homes only. To get through all of those properties, how long would it take? This is really interesting.
I'm gonna say it's I'm gonna say it's closer to like 4.5 or 5 months.
13.94 months.
Wow, so it's over a year.
So it'll take a year to. What that means, it'll take over a year, 12 months, and maybe
to sell those
two more.
150 something
Yes.
homes. Gotcha.
So we have homes to sell in Longboat. We just need the buyers.
Right.
That's compared to the mainland inventory at 4.16 months.
Right.
So you got to really look at each area individually when you're working with an agent, when you're talking about listing your home
Agreed.
or buying a property.
Because the areas are, even in Sarasota proper, it's very different in Palmer Ranch than it is from downtown, than it is from Lakewood Ranch.
Yeah.
Each area is so, Lakewood Ranch is extremely aggressive right now, even still. Palmer Ranch is not.
Right.
It's not as
It's
aggressive
an
down
older
there.
community, but they're still building down there,
Sure.
which is the South Sarasota community, master plan community. What would you like to leave the people with as a takeaway?
I mean, I think it's good. I think what's going to be interesting is over the next couple of months to see which direction the market goes. I do think and believe that the market's going to come back strong.
Yeah.
You know, once the rates come down, especially if the stock market continues to climb, I think you're going to see a lot of cash buyers back in the market.
Mhm.
I think the inventory will be there for people to buy, and I also think that you know, you're going to have a lot more options because the inventory is sort of starting to creep up a bit.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, generally speaking, June, July, and August are very slow months for us.
But you had a good summer last year, though. I think.
Yeah, it was okay. I mean,
Yeah.
generally speaking, though, everything just kind of hits the brakes during those months, and I don't know, you know, if this market corrects, we may see our summer may be very, very busy. So you know, we'll see. We'll see how
and we're
it
here
plays.
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like you know, we've had spring break still. So
Mhm.
as we're filming, this is end of March, we're still kind of in that spring break. People have vacation mode.
Right.
Kind of different than the years past. So I feel like we have been busier this time of year in the past.
Yeah.
Contrary to what you said though, generally we get the last maybe 5 years in a row, I've
Right.
been really busy in the summertime.
Right.
I mean, last August we closed 8 million
That's
in
a lot.
sales. That was because we had a nice beachfront house sell in August. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't know. We're here for the ride too, and we try to predict, but nobody really can predict the market. Nobody can predict their time in the stock market.
Agreed.
But you know, we're here as experienced agents, happy to help. And you guys, if you want an equity position update on your property, whether it's in Manatee, Sarasota, or Charlotte County, we can help you with that.
Absolutely.
We're happy to talk to you, and click the link below, ShaylaTwit.com.